1, 0.
The 1970s were a wild time for television. While most people were glued to sitcoms and variety shows,
What is XR like?
Distance from arc, 0.5 parsecs. Atmosphere, low oxygen level.
something incredible was happening in the shadows. Science fiction was quietly taking over the small screen, and these shows were predicting our future in ways nobody realized. But here's the thing. Most of these groundbreaking series were canceled, forgotten, or dismissed as cheesy nonsense. Today, we're diving into 12 classic 1970s sci-fi shows that were way ahead of their time. Space, 1999, 1975 to 1977. Picture this. The moon gets blasted out of Earth's orbit and becomes a giant spaceship. Carrying 311 people into the unknown. That's space. 1999, and it had everything going for it. A massive budget, movie-quality special effects, and stars like Martin Landau and Barbara Bain fresh off Mission Impossible. But American audiences didn't bite. They expected Star Trek-style action and got something more philosophical and slower-paced instead. Critics called it pretentious. Networks struggled with its British sensibilities. Here's what they missed. The show's practical effects still look incredible today, putting many modern CGI efforts to shame. Its exploration of isolation, survival, space. 1999 wasn't just ahead of its time, it was from the future. The $6 Million Man, 1974 to 1978. Steve Austin had superpowers before the Marvel Cinematic Universe was even a dream. Better, stronger, faster, he was the world's first mainstream cyborg superhero, and nobody quite knew what to do with him. The show mixed spy thriller elements with science fiction in ways that seemed impossible. Critics often dismissed it as campy Saturday morning fare. The sound effects became a joke. The slow-motion sequences felt gimmicky to sophisticated viewers who wanted their sci-fi more serious. But look closer and you'll see something revolutionary. The $6 Million Man was exploring transhumanism, artificial intelligence, and the ethics of human enhancement decades before these became mainstream conversations. Lee Majors wasn't just playing a character. Kolchak, the Night Stalker, 1974 to 1975. Carl Kolchak was hunting monsters in Chicago while wearing a rumpled suit and carrying a tape recorder.
Legend, it meant that I trusted her. But then I would have also had to tell her that I shot a...
This wasn't your typical monster show. It was a gritty urban horror series disguised as procedural television, and most viewers had no idea what they were watching. The show lasted only one season. Network executives couldn't figure out if it was horror, comedy, or detective fiction. Ratings were decent, but not spectacular. Critics were split between those who got its unique tone and those who found it too weird for prime time. But Chris Carter was paying attention. 2 decades later, he'd create The X-Files using Kolchak's exact template: skeptical investigator, weekly monsters, government cover-ups, and that perfect mix of humor and horror. Logan's Run, the series, 1977 to 1978. Following the cult success of the 1976 movie, CBS tried to capture that dystopian magic on television.
Beautiful day. Beautiful day.
Glorious. Well, there they are.
The premise remained compelling. In a future where everyone dies at 30, a few rebels escape to find sanctuary. It should have been a hit. Instead, it became a cautionary tale about network interference. CBS demanded more action, less philosophy. Budget constraints meant cheaper effects and recycled sets. The show's deeper themes about ageism, freedom, and societal control got buried under generic chase sequences. What's fascinating is how relevant those themes feel today. In an era obsessed with youth culture, social media perfection, and disposable relationships, Logan's Run's warnings about a society that discards experience seem prophetic. The show was asking uncomfortable questions about how we value human life based on age and productivity. Unfortunately, 1970s television wasn't ready for those conversations. Planet of the Apes TV series, 1974. Taking the Planet of the Apes concept to television seemed like a no-brainer after 5 successful movies.
Troublesome humans, a piece of my mind.
Oh, very well.
The series followed 2 astronauts and a friendly chimp navigating an ape-dominated Earth. It had built-in audience recognition and endless story possibilities. But television budgets couldn't match movie magic. The ape makeup looked cheaper, the sets felt recycled, and many episodes fell into repetitive formulas of humans hiding from apes. Critics complained it lacked the original film's social commentary punch. Yet buried within those 14 episodes were genuine gems. Episodes dealing with class warfare, scientific progress, and racial prejudice showed the series could still bite when it wanted to. The show was essentially doing allegory television, using ape society to comment on human problems. The Fantastic Journey, 1977. Imagine Lost, but made in 1977. That's The Fantastic Journey. A group of travelers trapped in the Bermuda Triangle, jumping between different time zones and dimensions each week. It had everything: mysterious islands, time travel, parallel universes, and a diverse cast working together. NBC had no idea how to market it. Was it adventure, science fiction, family drama? The network kept changing time slots and couldn't decide on a target audience. Critics found it confusing, and viewers never knew when to find it. But the show was exploring multiverse concepts that wouldn't become mainstream until decades later. It featured strong female characters, diverse casting, and complex moral dilemmas wrapped in adventure storytelling. The Fantastic Journey was basically doing Rick and Morty-style dimension hopping with a 1970s television budget. It was wildly ambitious and completely misunderstood, canceled after just 10 episodes of pure imagination. Quark, 1977 to 1978. Buck Henry, the genius behind Get Smart, decided to turn his satirical eye toward science fiction.
Commander, this mission is no place for cowards. Please take me home.
Will you quit whining?
Quark was a space garbage collector dealing with cosmic bureaucracy, and it was absolutely brilliant. Every episode mocked sci-fi tropes while somehow being genuinely entertaining science fiction itself. The problem? It was too smart for its own good. Audiences expected either serious space opera or broad comedy, not sophisticated parody that required knowledge of the genre it was spoofing. NBC buried it in a terrible time slot, and critics didn't know how to review something so deliberately weird. Quark was essentially Galaxy Quest 20 years early. It understood that sci-fi was ripe for gentle mockery while still respecting what made the genre special. The Starlost, 1973 to 1974. Harlan Ellison conceived The Starlost as television science fiction for adults.
Arc subjects uncooperative. Repeat, subjects uncooperative.
A generation ship story exploring social evolution, religious conflict, and humanity's future among the stars. It could have been television's answer to serious literary sci-fi. Instead, it became Ellison's greatest frustration. The Canadian production company stripped away his vision, reduced budgets to laughable levels, and turned complex ideas into simple adventure stories. Ellison disowned the series entirely, using a pseudonym in the credits. What emerged was fascinating despite itself. The core concept of isolated communities on a massive spaceship remains compelling, and occasional episodes showed glimpses of Ellison's original ambition. The Starlost was trying to do serious, adult science fiction on television when that was almost impossible. It failed spectacularly, but its failure pointed toward what sci-fi television could become: thoughtful, complex, and unafraid of big ideas. The show's influence can be seen in everything from Battlestar Galactica to the 100. Its generation ship concept has become a staple of modern sci-fi, and its exploration of isolated societies developing different cultures feels remarkably prescient in our fragmented digital age. Sometimes the most important shows are the ones that crash while reaching for something beyond their grasp. Man from Atlantis, 1977 to 1978. Patrick Duffy played Mark Harris, the last survivor of Atlantis who could breathe underwater and had superhuman abilities. It was essentially Aquaman before anyone thought Aquaman could work on screen, mixing environmental themes with superhero action. NBC had no idea what to do with a superhero show. This was decades before comic book adaptations became mainstream, and the network kept changing the format. Critics found it too campy for adults, too weird for kids, and too expensive for the ratings it generated. But Man from Atlantis was pioneering superhero television. Duffy's earnest performance sold the character's fish-out-of-water status, and the show's environmental message feels incredibly relevant today. It was exploring ocean conservation, pollution, and humanity's relationship with nature through a superhero lens. The underwater sequences were genuinely impressive, and the show's mythology connected ancient civilizations with modern environmental crisis. The series also featured surprisingly progressive storytelling. It was basically doing eco-superhero stories 40 years before that became a thing. UFO, 1970 to 1971, Jerry Anderson moved from puppets to live action with UFO, creating the most sophisticated alien invasion show of its era.
We still have UFO on positive track. Confirmed speed, Sol 1.4.
Set in the then future of 1980, it featured a secret organization defending Earth from extraterrestrial threats with incredible vehicles and technology. American audiences didn't connect with its British sensibilities. The show was more thoughtful and realistic than typical sci-fi, focusing on the psychological cost of defending Earth rather than explosive action. Networks didn't know how to market serious UFO drama. UFO was essentially doing the X-Files 20 years early, complete with government conspiracies, alien abduction, and the personal toll of believing in something others deny. The show's production design was incredible, its special effects revolutionary, and its approach to alien contact surprisingly mature. It treated UFO encounters as genuine scientific and military problems rather than adventure opportunities. The series also explored themes of sacrifice, duty, and the isolation that comes with keeping world-threatening secrets. Characters struggled with failed marriages, alienated children, and the constant stress of protecting an oblivious public. Battlestar Galactica, original, 1978 to 1979. ABC wanted their own Star Wars, so they threw massive money at Battlestar Galactica. The pilot episode had movie-level effects, an epic story of humanity's last survivors fleeing robot genocide, and genuine emotional weight. It should have been a phenomenon. Instead, it became a cautionary tale about network television versus creator vision. ABC demanded more kid-friendly content, leading to robot dogs and cute children. Budget constraints forced recycled footage and cheaper effects. The show's darker themes got watered down for family viewing. But underneath the network interference was something remarkable. The original Battlestar Galactica was exploring themes of survival, faith, military ethics, and what defines humanity that wouldn't be fully realized until Ronald D. Moore's 2004 reimagining. Lorne Greene's Commander Adama was a complex leader making impossible choices, and the show's mythology was genuinely epic. The series tackled religious diversity, democratic governance under crisis, and the morality of warfare in ways that were sophisticated for family television. Its depiction of a nomadic fleet searching for a new home resonates with refugee experiences throughout history. Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, 1979 to 1981, Gil Gerard's Buck Rogers was pure disco-era wish fulfillment. A 20th century pilot frozen in space who wakes up 500 years later to find Earth recovered from nuclear war and himself humanity's greatest hero. It was campy, colorful, and completely shameless about being fun. Aaron Gray's Wilma Deering was a competent, intelligent woman in charge.
Wilma, hat ganz allein ihre gesamte Kriegsschifflotte vernichtet. Hat uns geschickt, sie zu warnen.
Wir sehen uns unten auf dem Landedeck.
And the show's optimistic view of humanity's future feels refreshing in our cynical age. Sometimes camp done with complete commitment becomes its own form of art. The show's second season attempted more serious storytelling, exploring deeper space and complex alien civilizations, showing it could handle weightier material when allowed. Its influence on later space opera shows is undeniable, from its use of humor to its colorful alien designs. So there you have it. 12 sci-fi shows that were too weird, too smart, or too ahead of their time for the 1970s. Which ones have you actually watched? Drop your thoughts below, hit subscribe for more forgotten TV gems, and remember, today's flop might be tomorrow's masterpiece.